Welcome to My ADHD Relationship, your evidence-based guide to navigating love, friendship, and family life through the lens of ADHD.
You know, this thought right here, it echoes in the minds of so many parents. You look at your teen and you see all this brilliance, all this potential, but their actions, or let's be honest, their lack of action, is just a constant source of frustration. The homework's not done, the room's a mess, every single request feels like you're gearing up for a battle. It's so easy to land on that one simple conclusion. They just aren't trying.
But this question, this is the one that can change absolutely everything. What if the behaviors you're seeing aren't about defiance? What if it's not laziness at all, but a symptom of something way deeper, something happening in their brain? Okay, so this is where we have to start. We need to completely reframe the problem. It's about shifting our mindset from seeing a teen who won't do something to understanding a teen whose brain sometimes literally can't perform the way we expect. And trust me, getting that difference is the key to everything. You see, that lazy label, it's not just wrong, it's actually damaging. When we use it, we're assuming that the teen has a perfectly good self-regulation system, and it's just choosing not to use it. But the science, well, it tells a completely different story.
And this is the dangerous cycle it creates. When a teen is constantly told they're not trying hard enough, they start to believe it. That criticism becomes their inner voice, and it just crushes their self-worth. Pretty soon, even simple tasks feel completely overwhelming, and that triggers a ton of anxiety. So what do? They avoid them. They put things off. And that procrastination just ends up confirming the lazy label in everyone else's mind. It's a vicious, self-fulfilling prophecy. So, to break that cycle, we have to stop focusing on the behavior we see on the surface. We've got to look at what's going on in the brain underneath. Because those actions, they are a direct result of neurobiology. And this is how we can start busting some of the biggest myths out there. What we might see as being willfully disobedient is really an impaired executive function. What looks like they just need to try harder, that can actually be a deficit in the brain's dopamine reward system. And what seems like plain old irresponsibility is often a real condition called time blindness.
Right. So a huge concept here is executive functions. The best way to think about it is like the CEO or the air traffic controller of the brain. It's the system that's in charge of, well, everything. From starting your homework, to planning out a project, to just controlling your temper when you get frustrated. In an ADHD brain, that whole management system is impaired. And here's where things get really tricky. Adolescence is already a time of massive construction in the brain. That frontal lobe, the CEO we were just talking about, it isn't even fully developed until you're about 25. So for a teen who already has ADHD, you have the normal chaos of a teenage brain crashing head-on into a pre-existing executive function deficit. It's like a perfect storm for impulsivity and really struggling with any kind of long-term planning.
Okay, now let's talk about the second major player here, dopamine. You've probably heard of it. It's the motivation chemical. It's the stuff that makes you want to do something and then feels good after you've done it. And the brain scans are really clear on this. The ADHD brain just has fewer receptors and transporters to use dopamine effectively.
And here's what that looks like in real life. Without enough dopamine, a boring task like homework can literally feel like climbing Mount Everest. It leads to what we call task paralysis. But a super stimulating activity like playing video games, that's like a fire hose of dopamine. The brain just locks on and you get that hyperfocus where the whole world just disappears. It's not about what they want to do, it's about what their brain chemistry is allowing them to do.
Now, the third piece of this puzzle is something called time blindness. And this isn't just about being bad with time. It's a real, genuine difficulty in perceiving time passing, almost like being colorblind. The brain's internal clock is just faulty. That makes it nearly impossible to guess how long a task will take, or to feel that sense of urgency about a deadline that's way off in the future.
So we've talked about how the brain works, but what does all of this actually feel like for a teenager? Because behind all the missed assignments and the messy rooms, there is this huge, often totally invisible emotional struggle going on. And that brings us to something so critical to understand: rejection sensitive dysphoria, or RSD. For a lot of people with ADHD, the emotional kickback from what they perceive as criticism isn't just a little disappointment. It's felt as this intense, overwhelming pain. Remember that dopamine system we talked about? Well, it's also tied to emotional regulation. So a simple correction can feel physically painful and trigger this massive emotional blowup. They're not just overreacting. Their brain literally processes rejection in a profoundly different way. Yeah, and the sheer weight of these challenges, the constant struggle, that feeling of failure, the pain of RSD, it all takes a really serious toll on their mental health. It's honestly no surprise that comorbidity rates are so high. I mean, this statistic is just staggering. Up to 53% of people with ADHD may also end up battling a depressive disorder. To try and cope with all of this, a lot of teens develop a strategy we call masking. They spend a tremendous amount of energy trying to act normal, whatever that means, to hide their symptoms and just fit in. But this constant performance is absolutely exhausting. It creates this deep feeling of being a fraud, imposter syndrome, and it just leads to total emotional burnout. All right, so we get the neurobiology and we can feel the emotional weight of it all. So what on earth do we do about it? The answer really is a fundamental shift in your role as a parent, moving from being a controller to being a skill coach. This coaching idea is all about providing external support to make up for those internal deficits. You might literally have to act as their external frontal lobe for a while, helping them plan and organize. The key here, though, is that you're not just doing it for them. You're explicitly teaching them, modeling the skills. And this means celebrating the small wins and remembering one core principle. Punishment just doesn't build skills. It never has. So what does this coaching look like in the real world? Well, it's about building systems and using tools that actually work with the ADHD brain instead of fighting against it. I like to think of it as creating a personalized dopamine toolkit. Here are a few of the most effective strategies you can use. There's dopamine hacking, which basically means turning a boring chore into a game with quick, immediate rewards. Then there's body doubling. This is the simple but really powerful act of just having someone quietly sit with them while they work. That social connection helps boost focus. It's all about externalizing motivation, making things less overwhelming, and just making tasks more brain-friendly. Look, that incredible potential you see in your teen is absolutely real. It's not hiding under some layer of laziness that needs to be punished away. It's just locked behind a neurobiological barrier. A barrier that needs to be unlocked with understanding, with compassion, and with the right kind of support. You don't have to change everything all at once. It just starts with one small change. So, the question we want to leave you with is this. What is one small thing you can do today, right now, to shift your approach from being a controller to being a coach? Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so that you're notified when a new video is released. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you soon. Bye now.